Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. Uh, Anybody listening to this, we are going to talking about some triggering terms or any form of discrimination, or we could talk about transphobia. So if any of these topics trigger you, please take this in as a trigger warning as we talk about today for cancel culture. And I want to thank Nardvillain for coming back here today.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yo, I am glad to be here. Also, call out to me. This is for a quick second before this episode's coming out the Sunday after I get married.
Oh.
So future me, hi, you did a great job
Mhm.
and love the moment that you're in. And I hope right now that you are lying in bed, uh, plugging this podcast and enjoying the moment of now finally being a wife
Mhm.
after 4 years
That's
of
not all the
planning this
plugging that's
wedding.
gonna be happening. That's not all the
I
plugging that'll be
I
happening on that day.
I wish
I just kidding.
I'm gonna have my period. Like
Oh.
I know.
Hmm.
I know. No fun. Anyways, Nard, welcome back. Today we're
Thank
going
you.
to talk about cancel culture. This is a topic that we talked about in our music podcast. That it was going to be our next podcast to do, and I think this comes in at a really good time as Netflix has just dropped Johnny Depp or Depp
Hmm.
versus Heard, and that
Yep.
really sparked um a huge conversation with cancel culture. And then in the last couple years as well, cancel culture has become a very big topic, especially in the content creator community and YouTube community. So I would really like to sit down and talk to you today and kind of hear what are your thoughts about cancel culture? Have you been canceled, and are you tired of seeing sad YouTube apologies of crying, holding their dogs with their Starbucks latte behind them, saying that
Hmm.
like you can't judge me for the mistakes I made? But
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, there's a point in time where we've all probably done something in our lives, right? That's gonna probably be triggering at a specific time because things at a certain period of time in life obviously was more acceptable. Like there's movies even from the 90s that apparently would never hit the
mhm.
surface of 2023. I mean, I can name a few. I mean, if we're like I think we could never see an American Pie in
No.
2023, or we could, but a different version of it, you
Mhm.
know. Um, and I don't know, it's just the culture, or you just have to adapt to to the changes. A lot of people might say, uh, the newer generations are a little bit more sensitive, but no, I don't think it's that people are sensitive. I think it's more that people are just a little bit more aware of like what's a little bit more offensive now. I think but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a thing. I mean, cancel culture is definitely a thing, and it could be a lot. I mean, it could be. I think it can be a little extreme, and
Mhm.
sometimes it can be a little bit more reasonable. Like, oh, okay, of course, like we shouldn't promote that person because they're straight up racist, or oh yeah, what they did 10 years ago or 20 years ago, assaulting that person sexually, should have been they should have paid the consequences back then. So if they're going to pay for it now, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been slipped when it happened 20, 30 years ago. It shouldn't have been missed looked at that point in time too.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll dive into that for a little bit more. I meant to
Mhm.
start off with this. For anyone who doesn't know what cancel culture is, I want to live in the world that you live in, the
Mhm.
blissful world. But for anybody who needs a definition of it, is how Wikipedia describes cancel culture. Cancel culture is a phrase contemporary to the late 2010s to early 2020s, used to refer to cultures in which who are deemed to be act or spoken in inappropriate manner and are now ostracized, boycott, or shunned. So
Mhm.
I think that you kind of nailed it really well on the head. For an example of, yeah, like something let's say something 20 years ago or 30 even years ago,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the 90s, like you did some really bad things to a person
Yeah.
and now it's coming to light and you're paying the piper. Awesome. Please,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm down for that. I'm please, like that part of it's okay to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we, like you said, like American Pie. So me and my fiance went back and started watching Survivor from the first season. So it's 2000 is the first season. They're flagrantly dropping the R word, the
Mm-hmm.
F word, not fuck.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I
Like,
know what you're talking
but
about.
it's in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the trailer. Or let's talk about How I Met Your Mother when they used to play the game. Is she a chick or does she have a dick?
Mm-hmm.
That was like 15 years ago. So times have changed. The thing is people are hard, like not wanting to change with the times. And I'm tired of everyone just saying like kind of like it's like it's not, we're not that we're sensitive. And I'm tired of being called a snowflake or a lamb or a sheep. Like you can't like handle these things. It's just sticks and stones, like maybe make your bones, but words will hurt you. And at
Yeah.
this point, at the age of cyberbullying, absolutely. And I think coming down to cancel culture, I think we need to be a little bit more defined with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're like Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, yeah, you're or Bill Cosby,
Mm-hmm.
super fucking canceled for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. There's no redeeming that. But then you have an example would be a TikToker getting canceled because she's lip syncing to a song that has the N word and she doesn't say trigger instead
Mm-hmm.
of the N word. And then
Right.
she loses sponsorships. She loses everything. Okay. So how come we got to break this up into like
Some segments,
some
like
segments, but
some spectrums.
yeah, right? And like apologize if you offend somebody, apologize like basically I'm saying I'm sorry and then we can move on with
Yeah.
our lives. And like the thing is I don't even think cancel culture holds any weight anymore. I think the only reason it holds weight is on like platforms like Watch Mojo or publications where they really hone in on like look at these 15 stars that have been canceled. Like a good example is Will Smith as a
Mm-hmm.
couple years ago punches Chris Rock in the face at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Canceled. We're canceling him. Are we though? Because his show
No.
is on HBO, right? So like there's no repercussions for that. It's just maybe some people now don't like him. Or Doja Cat, who has no problem like criticizing her fans. She loses 500,000 followers in a span of a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
Her newest song is on the top 10. Like there's no correlation to cancel culture
Yeah.
versus actual punishment. And then what I want to talk about is the acknowledgement of it versus immediately shutting them off.
Mm-hmm.
So a good example, well, for me at least, is Vanderpump Rules. Beloved show, especially beloved show on this podcast.
Yeah, we know. We know.
Oh yeah, you know?
Mm-hmm.
um a couple years ago, Stassi, Kristen got fired because they called the police on the black cast member at the time, accused her of stealing when she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because and they really did disliked this cast member because she had cheated on one of the other main cast members' boyfriends. And it was a huge plot point. And then basically Stassi and Kristen were canceled. They were canceled. They were canceled for years. Stassi has had two number one bestsellers. She just went on a giant tour, basically called, I think it was like Mummy and Me or something like that. And like she just basically goes around to different cities and talks about pop culture. To
Mm-hmm.
me, that doesn't feel canceled. She's just still living
Yeah.
a But like, it's kind of
I,
like we have this mindset, we forget that people are
yeah.
canceled, and then we move on with the rest of our lives.
I think it's that's what it is I think it's only you only counsel people. Well, I'm not speaking for everybody. I just think there's a variety of different ways people counsel people. Like
Mm-hmm.
people counsel people that people can easily counsel someone if there's no convenience. Like okay, I can cancel. Let's say, um, well, I haven't counseled J.K. Rowling because I don't really even watch Harry
Yeah.
Potter or read the book, so it doesn't matter to me. So the fact that she made obviously some remarks about the transgender culture or
Mm-hmm.
people and whatnot, um you know there are certain things that I think if you don't agree with the popularity, you're I don't know how to say it, but um I feel like if you're not in the mainstream of things, and if the mainstream is for the better and not the worst, then I think you should probably keep your opinions maybe to yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
I believe in equality. I
Yep.
believe in rights for everybody. And for me to say that right now, I could potentially be canceled because some people don't believe that.
Yep.
So people who don't believe that is probably going to cancel me.
Mm-hmm.
But because that's a very popular topic right now, and it usually trends to the more, I guess, positive aspect um of the argument, I could be safe and say that I won't be entirely canceled, but maybe canceled by a few people. So I just think it comes to the convenience. Like some
Yeah.
people will cancel Chick-fil-A, but a majority of people love Chick-fil-A, but they also love the LGBTQ plus
Mm-hmm.
community. So it's like, when does canceling something when are you really canceling something? Is it out of convenience because you don't even really rock with them in a way, or is it because it's not that really you don't really have such a strong opinion about the specific topic? For example, R. Kelly. Like I will counsel R. Kelly because I really do strongly believe in that. Adults should not be molesting children. I mean,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
obvious.
Obviously.
So I am very comfortable knowing that, hey, I don't have to listen to R. Kelly's music. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to play it, be around it, whatever. I'm fine with it. It's not even if it was a convenience, say I'm a huge fan. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I just can't rock with that. I'm sorry, I can't sit here and be jamming to something knowing like when he said seem like you ready, is he talking about a 16-year-old or an actual female? So I don't want to think about that stuff anymore. So
Yeah.
I don't even listen to his lyrics.
And it kind of brings up a good point when you talk about R. Kelly. There's obviously, we're not going to take the elephant out of the room, which is
Mhm.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, true.
I listen to his music every day, every day at work.
Mhm.
It's on the radio. It's radio bait.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, do I think Michael Jackson did the things that he was accused of? Absolutely. But is he still a beloved artist that his stuff gets played continuously all the time?
Yeah.
Yes. And like again, you nailed on ahead. You nailed it on the head when it comes to J.K. Rowling. Is a lot of people are boycotting her, but you're not boycotting Harry Potter
Mhm.
because you're still gonna go spend all of that money to go to Universal or watch the movies or buy the merch or go to the play. So like, I think if we really want to sit down and cancel people, we have to then also remember the properties that they do as well to walk away from it. Like like you also talked about Chick-fil-A. I have partaked in a Chick-fil-A. Okay. I've had it's good.
Yeah.
But I am so scared to tell people that I've eaten at Chick-fil-A because they will accuse me of being homophobic. And that's not true. I just like chicken. Okay.
Mhm.
But and then my argument always is I'm like, okay, are we gonna not talk about the what's going on in the world of fast fashion and how these companies are just destroying people's lives, getting children to work? Have you gotten anything ordered Amazon in the last like weak and all that what goes into that. It's there's so many different evils in the
Yeah.
world. Why are we focusing on, oh my God, this person may have said this 15 years ago. Now we're going to cancel them. And this is another thing I want to get into this about is comedians. Canceling comedians
Oh
for
yeah.
risque jokes. That is their
Hmm.
job, is to continuously push the envelope for humor. If you don't like this brand of humor, don't listen to it.
Hmm.
And be cautious of the comedians that you like. And even think about, go back and listen to an old Robin Williams stand up. Beloved, may he rest in peace where he is. His stand up was controversial, okay?
Hmm.
Back then. And this is beloved comedian Robin Williams.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of give comedians a tiny pass, okay? Like they're just trying to get a reaction out of you,
Hmm. Trying to make you laugh during those times, like
trying to
Eddie
make you,
Murphy, Delirious and Raw. Those are like crazy
yes,
that would never.
never.
Well, you never know. There might be some raunchy comedians that'll push the button, but not like that. Not like how
No.
they did it. Robin Williams and all of them, how they did it back in the late 80s, early 90s. Even moving on up to with like Kevin Hart. I know he did some tweets on Twitter a few years ago that lost his opportunity to host Grammys or Oscars, one of the
Mm-hmm.
two, and then he was like, just do apology, and he was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna do it.
No.
He's like, I'm not even gonna host.
It
I think that was
was
Kevin Hart.
it was Kevin Hart. He was
Yeah.
going to host the Oscars the same
Mm-hmm.
week that he was going to do it. They found old tweets from
Yep.
15 years prior, and they wanted him to apologize, and he just said no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have we all said something racist in the last 15 to 20 years that would be deemed racist today? I have.
Yeah, but have you tweeted it though?
Have I tweeted it? No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. See,
I.
there's a difference. I think there's a I mean, in my opinion, I think there's a difference between like throwing a little racist joke or being racist amongst your friends, your peers that will accept that versus publicly being
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna make a remark publicly and express my views publicly to an audience that may or may not acknowledge that that racist remark should have been lightly taken, So,
Well, yeah, and it also comes down to age. So 15, if
true.
that was me today, I would have been 15 years old.
Hmm.
I have much different views as a 30-year-old woman than I did to a 15-year-old girl. And I think our opinions change. I mean, like, look at being PC. Like, we as a society, especially content creators, we dance around being PC
Yeah.
because we don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
But 10 to 20 years ago, PC wasn't a thing. We just kind of
True.
said what we wanted to say, if that makes
True.
sense.
And I'm sure you being a content creator too, and trying to be PC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there's been times even on the podcast you might have said something like, "Oh shoot," if that's taken out of context,
Yep.
there is a potential situation that somebody, if not thousands, may take that the wrong way if they don't really know who you are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like
Podcast.
that might have happened.
Sorry, go ahead.
So that could have probably happened to me without me realizing.
Mm-hmm. Podcast today that came out. I
Mm-hmm.
talk with Cookie about my ex-boyfriend who married somebody that was Asian. I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to keep this as so friendly as possible. And that's not out of the realm for him to have wanted
Mm-hmm.
that. And I full out say it. I'm like, he had, you can just imagine the color,
Mm-hmm.
fever.
So it's you can't say that your ex liked the Asian culture. Like for example, I could like someone's like that person likes black men or
Yeah.
that person like Asian men or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's almost to the point where that's not politically correct.
Yeah.
and you could
Exactly.
potentially be
I
canceled
could be
because
canceled for associating that I'm being racist towards a culture, which I'm not being.
yeah,
I'm just
stating the
stating the
mm,
fact, and it's sometimes can be exhausting to dance around it.
yeah,
I sometimes I just want to say this
yeah,
without needing to dance around it, or someone,
yeah,
you're canceled because
yeah.
you're a racist.
So what how I'm gathering it is if I knew someone, let's just say I knew a guy who only dated white women.
Sure.
So I would have to phrase it to say that according to my friend, I know that my friend likes to date white women.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say it that way versus saying, yeah, he likes white women. I knew he was gonna end up
Yeah.
with a white woman because he likes white women.
Yep.
It's just the phrasing, I guess. But it's like again, it's the spectrums. Like, is this
Yes.
just as bad as like um somebody sleeping with somebody and videotaping them that are like underage? Is that the same spectrum we're going with on canceling somebody? It's correct. Yeah, it's those are some things we have to think about. You know, it's that could be just as worse in somebody's career than
Mm-hmm.
that. You know.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Mhm.
at any point, someone could go on my podcast, take a snippet of it 10 to 15 years now, and be like, how dare you feel this way? And I think there's
Mhm.
something as well to feeling something in the moment that you may have said that's inappropriate versus being a racist.
Mhm.
And I think that really does come line in line. If you're just dropping the N word in front of everybody,
Oh yeah.
that's gross. And we don't
Yeah.
like that. But if you accidentally, like for an example, I like to, like, I always do this. Okay. Like I rub my eyes all the time because
Mhm.
my eyes are dry and itchy. And I got called out once because I left my eyes like this. And for anybody who's listening, obviously listening because there's no video, I have my eyes somewhat slanted as I'm literally rubbing my eyes,
Massaging your eyes. Yeah.
massaging my eyes because my eyes are tired. And somebody had come up to, like, had said to me, they're like, "Are you making fun of the um of Asian culture by doing that?" And I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
No, I'm just, my eyes are itchy."
Mhm.
Or the classic, oh god, this is gonna sound, I don't want to do this because this is really bad. Um, like the white supremacy hand thing, that,
See, I wouldn't even know. I've
yeah.
never. I'm
So
not. Yeah.
so for what it is, and for anybody listening, it's like three fingers and like a circle.
Like an okay kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
you're
kind
doing
of like an
giving the
okay.
okay.
So this is a symbol for the KKK.
I didn't even know that.
But you know what I
Damn.
associate this as? Fucking pretending that you're trying to stare at someone's balls, being like, ah,
Oh
look, this
yeah.
person's balls.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
you do it like this and then you put it below your
yeah,
waist, it look
yeah.
yeah, we do that all the time. And
KKK.
then you get punched.
Yeah,
Oh,
K.
yeah. See,
This is
we never
KKK. No, I
oh,
would have
see, we
never.
never did that.
There's literally photos of me because I used to do that all the time. I'd be like, ah,
Yeah.
it's balls, and then they'd
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'd punch them,
They
like,
punch
I,
you. Yeah,
you
yeah.
stare
We
at the
do the
balls.
asshole. It's the asshole. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's not, you can't do that anymore.
We still do it. I'm about to dang. All right. After your wedding, I'm about to be canceled too. Cause me and my friend, but see, I'm not publicly going around doing it though,
No,
around people that might offend. It's just like if I see my buddy discreetly, I'll be like, I was like, hey, what's up, you? And he looked, and I'm like, got you. It's just like a thing we
yeah.
all do.
It's like a tiny little joke. Like, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, I didn't know that was a cancel culture thing until the series Watchmen, where they talk about doing this symbol, and that's how they resonate it. And they're like, "Yep, that's a symbol
Are
to
they doing it
cancel."
below the waist too?
Yeah, and I was like, "Ooh,
Dang, that's
okay."
probably where it came from.
And I'm like, "Okay, this is
Wow.
fine.
Okay.
That's fine." Yeah, but see, it's just, it's like harm. Sometimes there's harmless things, and you don't realize that you are doing it. And I mean,
Mhm.
I'm notorious for singing in the car and not dropping the N word, but saying other things instead of being like, just as the song is saying it. Should I be
Mhm.
canceled because I'm lip syncing to one of my favorite songs? I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of this weird world that we live in that, but again, like canceling somebody, does that really cancel them if it's like over a weird reason. I mean, just take a look at all the YouTube apologies over the years. There's been so many, and they're all
I
really
just did
bad.
one,
Did you
so I
actually?
didn't do it. No, I was just being funny when I did.
I
I
was
did
gonna
like a
say
little press conference thing, but I was
yes.
just being silly. I gave the wrong hack or something, and I just did a little press conference or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's like if you let it pass you by without that apology and
Mm-hmm.
without a little tear or two with your sponsor in the background, big shout out to your sponsor or whatever. Then it's not authentic. It's like, oh, they're gonna just sit here and not acknowledge that we know that they effed up.
Yeah.
um it makes the wound less it'll heal the wound a little bit faster. You might still lose some people might stop rocking with you,
Yeah.
but if you could at least just throw out that apology, that's where we're at. But
And
at
with like
least it shows that you're trying to be better or do better.
so like let's talk about the aftermath. You get
Hmm.
canceled. So now that if you're a content creator, that is a mental health spiral like I've ever heard
Hmm.
because no matter you are going to get, I mean, as a content creator, you get shunned anyways every day.
Oh
So
yeah.
then you're going to get extra shunned. And then you're going to have people coming onto your page just to try to ruin you and try to
Hmm.
take you down and tear you down.
Yep.
And then you are left with an empty shell of not feeling satisfied. Like I don't know if you've seen Jake Paul's Untold on Netflix.
Mm-mm.
Do you know the
I have
Untold
to watch that.
do you know the Untold series?
Uh-uh.
So the Untold series is untold events that happened in sports.
Oh, okay.
It's I'm not a big sports person, but it is so good.
I've seen it. I just haven't watched it. I've seen it on Netflix, the series. I just haven't been able to watch an episode yet.
Yeah, because there's an episode like Caitlyn Jenner. My personal favorite is Malice in the Palace and the Trashers.
Hmm.
But so Jake Paul just had an episode and he goes into the fact of he had millions of dollars at 18 years. He bought an $8.4 million house at 20 or 18 years old.
Hmm.
Well, of course he's going to act out. He was just
Right.
doing stuff for views. We let him do it. And then we canceled him. And then he was left with nothing. And then he didn't know what to do with himself. And he talks about his mental health struggles of not wanting to carry on. He had no sponsors left, and then someone
Mm.
basically said, I want to punch Jake Paul," and he's like, "Well, let's box." And then he started his boxing career, and then that is his whole life now is boxing. He has given up
Can you
everything.
I might have missed it. Why did he originally get canceled again? You might have just said it. I
Um,
didn't.
there is lots of reasons. But the main one was, and please correct me if I'm wrong, to which
I'll Google it while you're talking
Jake
saying it.
brother did this or what Paul brother did it. He went to the suicide forest in Japan or Taiwan or somewhere in Asia and happened to have found somebody who had just ended their life
Mm.
and was like, "Oh," and he has like the alien from fucking Toy Story hat on. Like I've seen that image so many times. And then he made an apology. Pretty sure that was that Logan Paul brother, like the Paul, one of the Paul brothers. But like he had no problem taking shots at his brother. He married Tanya Montage, I think that's her name. For they didn't even get married, but they spent like a bunch of money trying to do it. By
Oh
trying to
yeah, I heard
do
about
it,
that.
they just had a fake wedding and pay
I heard about
and got
that.
their fans to live stream it for $30. And there was never like a marriage license or
And they're chipping people, so that's
they're
not
gypping
cool.
people, right? Um, they definitely encourage kids to gamble on, like the multiple sites that they get sponsored.
Mm.
Rice Gum is the same. He's done the same thing. He's been caught multiple times. Basically, but they were just two brothers, big business people just trying to make money and they didn't care
Mm.
how they got it because they just wanted the money. And then Jake Paul was like, "I have no reason to live. I'm going to start boxing." And then holy shit, he became one of like the best boxers in the world,
Yeah.
selling out $60 million pay-per-view nights. And
Mm-hmm.
he's had 6 fights and he's only been defeated once, and that was in a 8 round. And the referee had to decide, whoever decides a boxing fight had to decide it,
Yeah. The
next to a
judges or
professional
whatever.
boxer who has been boxing since he was 4 years old, went toe to
That's
toe with
crazy.
Jake Paul. So like it kind of just goes to show like you get canceled and it really just depends on what you do with that and try to find happiness. Another one is Johnny Football, another untold story. He was obviously he played for the NCAA. Is that the college football in the States?
And what? And
NCAA.
yeah, NCAA. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
NCAA. Okay. So as if anybody who doesn't know what that is or what college US college football is, to Americans it's a very important passport. For the rest of us in the world, nobody watches college football.
Yeah, because
But for March Madness, that is huge. And like I said, it's basketball,
basketball. Yeah.
but football, Friday Night Lights, same
Oh
idea.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Football, or I think it's like Johnny Ferrero or something like that. He got
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
annoyed because they were making hundreds of millions of dollars off the support of junior athletes that can't accept $1.
That's true.
So he got pissed and he started doing a fan offered
YouTube.
him $30,000 to sign his autograph, and he did a lot of that. And then he had like $2 million by the age of he was
Damn.
19, and he spent it all. And he has nothing to really show for it now.
That sucks.
And you got to pay the piper. But should we cancel him because he went against the grain to try to get college athletes paid? Because NCAA wanted to cancel him,
Yeah.
but the rest of everybody else was like, yeah, we support you. So
I
I think
mean, it's in the
it's
rule book. I mean, if you're a college athlete, you're technically not supposed to be paid. I mean, I don't even think college athletes got have can they get sponsors and brand deals? Yeah. I mean, it's a rule. I
I
mean,
I think we got to change that rule.
because there's one athlete, he ended up being more of a YouTuber, but he started out as a college ball player, and he was making money off his YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
people were starting to, well, the university was again very strict on, you can't make money as an athlete, and he had his own YouTube channel. I wish I remember who that was. They were on it. I think they might have been on like a Colin and Samir episode or something.
Okay.
But anyway,
Yeah.
this is Real Life with Stassi. Way better podcast. But anyway, so yeah, and yeah, he got in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he ended up leaving the school because he decided to go the route of being a YouTuber. He made money.
Yep.
So
Well, I think it's just sad that you have these corporations basically making millions of dollars off these kids' backs. And then they might not even make it to the NFL. That might be the
yeah,
highest they ever get due to injury or not,
yeah,
obviously not being the best of the best. I mean, to get into the NFL is a fucking miracle on a good day. They're
yeah,
extremely, extremely hard to get into. And not only that, you don't have long careers
true.
in football. I mean, obviously, minus Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and the select few, but how many people play 2 games of football and have a career-ending injury or tearing ACL on their first day back, and then they're off for the season?
Yeah.
So, and now they
Well,
can't play, and now their sponsorship stuff's like what was not for college, but more for NFL.
yeah,
They're in jeopardy. No one
yeah,
They'll probably get drafted and traded, and they'll probably never see the light of day again. Or if they're that good, they might play next year on a different team.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't understand the how things work when it comes to, professional sports. It's definitely college, but I think they gonna have to somehow figure out how to leverage athletes that can maybe make money on their own. Now, I'm not educated in the college realm of sports or just the college system in general. So I'm already about to lose the college. The college kids, the sports. They about to cancel me for this right here.
Okay.
I'm
You,
already losing
you
people. I'm
already,
losing
especially,
people.
you're losing people. You already lost
Mhm.
people
Yeah.
saying that you weren't the biggest Taylor
Taylor
fan.
Swift fan.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I ain't, I appreciate her music, but it ain't on my playlist, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We can talk about that later too. But okay, here's my theory. My
Okay.
theory is I understand that as a college athlete, they're already getting at least some type of funding from the school.
Yes.
So if I feel like if it's possible for some athletes to get money from brand deals and stuff, those brand deals should be able to also help them financially through their school,
Okay.
like a scholarship.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if there was a way to intertwine the two,
Hmm.
I think I think universities and brands can work together that way. So then that way it's fair.
Yeah.
Because I see I see me as a university, and I'm paying this player to focus and play the sport on my dime, and yet I'm paying for them, and then but yet they're also making like thousands of dollars to play the sport too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think as a university, they're like, well, why am I paying for them to play if other organizations like other scholarships can pay for them to play the sport? I don't know. I don't know how it works, but I think they at this day and age they should be able to figure out how they can have their college students to make money while they're playing the sport without it being a distraction.
See, I don't think they get paid. I think they get decreased payments for school because they get in on sports scholarships
Mm-hmm.
specifically for football, basketball, any of those
Right.
university sports. But like
Some
those,
get a free ride though.
some do. But at the same time, how much are you paying for equipment? How much are you paying to work out? You have to have a personal trainer. You
I
have to
think
go
the
to the
school
gym.
pays for all that.
They do not, my friend. That
Uh,
is out of
oh well, that
personal. That's out of
must be
personal pocket.
that's that's Canada then.
What are you talking about? That is, well, definitely here. That's for sure the case because university sports is not a big thing here. That's not a thing. Like, obviously, there's the occasional football game that you like, football player that might go to the CFL, and that's that's our football league. And
Hmm.
again, that is slight at
Oh.
best, but pretty sure in the States that stuff's not covered. It
Oh,
could
I
be,
didn't know.
it could vary from different university to university, but from what
Yeah.
I've gathered from my, when I say lack of knowledge, it's pretty lack, but you're not paid to do any of that stuff. It all
Oh
comes
yeah,
out of
absolutely. I know.
it comes out of personal pocket, and then once you make it big, you're good. You're fine.
Mm,
But then let's not talk about the $100,000 it took you to get into that school that you
right.
now have to pay that debt off. And yeah, some people do get a scholarship through and through. Other people don't and are now trapped with this $100,000 student debt,
Yeah.
can't go anywhere because they didn't make it to the NFL or at the XFL or any other football league. They could be on like a B team, a C team, and they're making like 30,000 a year. And then again, it's a lot of pocket. Like I would say hockey players, we have a friend that's a financial advisor for higher up people that make a boatload of money. So let's say Marner. He plays
Mm,
for Toronto. He makes a shitload of money, like a shitload. But that being said, he pays his manager, pays his PR person, pays like I guess a different multiple trainers, but however you want to break it down. His rent is extremely high. Um, just living like his cost of life.
oh yeah, they
Yeah,
can't pay for that stuff, but I just
yeah,
figured at least their tuition in as an athlete should at least pay for the tuition.
yes. It should at least pay
Now,
for tuition, but then how do they eat?
m-
How
yeah,
do
yeah. Well,
because they can't
yeah,
have jobs. That's their full
right.
time focused is them playing football because that's if they don't have that, then they have nothing. And I've heard
Mm,
places people who have lost like not proceeded in sports, their scholarships get pulled. So you have to then eat. You can't do anything besides football or whatever
mm.
sport you play. So it's fascinating. And I mean, that even comes down
Yeah.
to the university scandal that happened a couple years ago,
Oh, I
where
remember
all of
that.
these celebrities paid millions of dollars to get their kids in, which took away the opportunity for kids that actually earned it. It's
Mm.
interesting because this is a really big states thing, but in Canada, like we don't have like dream schools. Like you just kind of go to school. Like I'm sure if you want to
Mm.
go to university, like you would, like for let's say for where I live, you would probably want to go to UFW, Western, Laurier, Mac, um, UFT, University of Windsor. It kind of just really varies of like if I want to be an engineer,
Mm.
I'm gonna go to Waterloo. If
What
I
about
want to be,
University of London?
there is no University of London.
Oh.
That's Western. So that's the
Oh.
University of Western Ontario. So that's in London, which is one of the biggest universities in Canada. It's
Mm.
also number 8 on the biggest parties, like the most partied school in the world. Like you go to Western, you fucking party. I didn't go to Western. I went to college. My fiance went to Western,
Mm.
and
Okay.
he will contest to the amount of parties. Lots of smart people, like lots of smart people. Like his friend's roommate, or maybe it was his roommate in his first year. His the was I guess it was Greg. Probably butchering the story, but anyways, long story short, it was the CEO of Gap's son. Just
Mm.
like was his roommate,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So like that's cool. Western has a lot of alumni, very, 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 very smart people, lots of scientists, lots of doctors, but Western is known for its football.
Okay.
They win the I don't know the cup name all the time. It's pretty common. But anyways, but yeah, like we don't have it's not like, oh, like I didn't get into Penn's University or Duke or Princeton or Harvard or
Mm.
Yale. That is not.
Oh, that's hard schools to get into, period.
I think it's what like 3% chance of getting in or like one
Yeah, maybe
percent
less than
chance.
that. Maybe
It's
less than that.
it's crazy to how small all
Mm.
that stuff is. Because like here, like if I tried hard enough, I could have gotten to university.
Mm.
But I don't think I could have like I couldn't have gone to law school. I couldn't have gone to like medical school. Not
Me
only
neither.
that, I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
But yeah, right.
I don't have patience for science like that.
No,
Mm-mm.
mm-mm,
Well,
no.
I want to definitely apologize because I have no education whatsoever in regards to tuitions and all that. And I Googled it, and literally it says right here that if you're planning on being a athlete in a college, you should expect to find other ways to find money for tuition because as on an athletic scholarship, they only pay but a small percentage of your tuition. Here it says the most is on average, most athletes get around like 5,000 in a sports on an athletic scholarship. Some, if you're top tier athlete, can go all the way up to like 17,000 per student, but realistically on average it says most athletes get around 5,000 in tuition. So it says here that more than likely you're getting other scholarships elsewhere outside of athletic programs, which is
That
crazy because I thought if I'm going to sit here and play for your team, you would think that the athletic programs would have a lot larger financial pot. I would assume, but no. Sheesh.
so here are two people listening to this. Person A is now saying, I'm going to cancel you because you didn't
Mm.
know and you had the balls to sit here to tell me an unverified fact.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer trust you. Goodbye. You have B being like, oh fuck, I didn't know that either.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like you have these huge divides of if you don't have the exact knowledge right
Mm-hmm.
away and
Yeah.
you may think something is true and that's
Yeah.
the fact that you live by and then they're like, oh, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to cancel you because you don't know.
Yeah, but the beauty of what I just said was before we even talked about athletic tuitions,
Mm-hmm.
I already stated that I have no prior I was assuming this whole the whole time.
Yeah.
And now that I googled it up, I'm like, okay, I do apologize. I was completely off. It's not even a full scholarship when it comes to the athletic program.
Yeah.
Some may do, but
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like, there's going to be that person that's like, even though you said all that, yeah, I can't trust anything you say.
Which is weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I think
Or
that,
people can just be casual listeners. You can have three.
okay,
The third person is just like, I'm not even interested in this topic in a way, but I'm just here to listen to the information because we're
yes,
we're still providing a great amount of deal of information when it comes to council culture.
of course.
Me
Look at
being
you.
one of their reasons to be canceled, to
Look at
counsel
you.
me.
Here you go.
Yay! Team boat,
Yay!
team boat,
But
team boat.
I I definitely feel like we need to, instead of having cancel culture, let's have the person that has caused the problem acknowledge what they've done and then
Mm-hmm.
watch what they do after
Mm-hmm.
to see if they're on that train, if it's just figuring out who that person is,
Mm-hmm.
or did they take this life lesson and
Right.
grow,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
um and I think that the only way we're going to do that is we come together and start listening to everybody instead of
Yeah.
stop pointing fingers immediately.
Maybe learn how to forgive people too, I guess, depending
Yeah.
on what it is. Or should we just forgive regardless? Like, is there a moment where you think in your heart you can forgive someone that was a major cancel? Like, let's say, could you forgive, like, Bill Cosby, or could you forgive R. Kelly?
No.
There's like those huge cancel culture candidates,
Yes. I think to them that's just evil, and
Mm-hmm.
you can, no, I can't even say you can understand I
Mm-hmm.
can't understand why people pry on the weak, because I'm not that
Mm-hmm.
type of person. So I can't forgive them for what they've
Mm-hmm.
done, even if R. Kelly is talking to Gail King crying crocodile tears saying that
Mm-hmm.
he's the victim. Like,
Right.
your whatever opinion you have to say is done. If you're talking
Right.
like an itsy bitsy YouTuber that fucking pissed off Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, or just any of those guys, and you have to make a tearful apology, sure, maybe if I care
Mm-hmm.
enough. I think we just like we talked about, we got to gauge, what did you do?
Yeah.
How old were you? I have a
Mm-hmm.
third column is, were you under substances? Because
Mm-hmm.
somebody under substances versus not on substances with a
Mm-hmm.
clear mind is a very different judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of gauge from there. Like, did I forgive Stassi for call her what she did a couple years ago to Faith? Sure. I don't fucking know her. I don't
Yeah.
know who she is. I can't really forgive somebody who I don't know, and no one in my personal life gets canceled, because that's not something that we do.
It's
Us
family.
are 99%. The rest
Mm-hmm.
of us is we don't cancel people. We learn and we grow and adapt with them, and if we see proper
Yeah.
change, for sure. I mean, if that's the case, my family should have ripped me off years ago, but they didn't. They watched me grow to become the person I am today. But if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get the support like I did when I was 17, yeah, I definitely wouldn't be here right now. Right. So I think we have to
Right.
just kind of assess each situation appropriately and gauge to, why are they being canceled, and
True.
then go from there. And I think we also need to stop thinking that we know these celebrities. We don't know
Right.
them. We don't fucking know what they think. We have no idea what's going on in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
So maybe let's just take a minute and just say, we don't know this person, so I can't really judge them upon their actions. And again, this is for light cancel culturing,
Mm-hmm.
not predators,
Right.
because that's who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking a small little person that does something that no one will give a shit about in 2 months,
Right.
kind of stuff like that. So, but
So
I think that's my thoughts on cancel culture.
yeah.
I leave the floor to you.
Yeah, I just think we have to sometimes just kind of figure out where, when it comes to tweets and stuff, like how relevant was the tweet. Obviously, if it was something 10 years ago, how was the context? You
Hmm.
know, like there's been times where somebody said something on a tweet to someone else and it was kind of a racist remark, but we don't know the full story. What's the relationship? You did it publicly, so what you do out in public, there's a reaction. There's always going to be a reaction to a reaction.
Hmm.
So if I react a certain way on social, there's going to be a consequence. There's going to be a reaction to what
Yes.
I post or what I do. So I have to always be aware, even as a content creator, that if I say something in a satire manner or a political manner or any type of positive or negative way, I got to know like I'm going to be hit on all spectrums. And I
Hmm.
got to be ready for
Yep.
that energy. If I'm putting out a certain energy, I got to remind myself and be ready to receive that energy. And that's why I know, like, if I'm about to say something to somebody, I got to know for sure, am I going to be ready to take the heat,
Hmm.
or there's going to be people that not don't know me and won't know that I'm joking. So I
Hmm.
have to be mindful of that type of, audience. So like I said, there's always going to be a reaction. So when J.K. Rowling said what she said publicly, I think she has to remind herself that this isn't something you said 15 years ago. This is something you're saying now, and like I don't even know how
Hmm.
long ago it was, in 2020.
Yeah.
Same with Joe Rogan and his political stance.
Yeah.
Obviously some people, but that's when you have to keep, like, do you like his podcast? Do you like that he interviews these certain people? Like, you have to sometimes separate what they believe in. It's like, okay, like let's say I like homegirl Stassi, right? But I'm not gonna, like, she might not like or celebrate Christmas. She might not be religious,
Hmm.
or she might partake in witchcraft, but no matter what it is that she does, right? I still like Stassi as an individual. So there might be things that, you may not do, but I'm not going to counsel you over it.
Yeah.
You might even be, your politics might be different. I know
Yeah.
people who are not even all, not all my friends are Democrats or
Yeah.
whatever. We just don't talk about politics when we hang out. We just go out and we hang out and we do whatever, but we just don't talk politics. So there's always going to be people who are not like you.
Hmm.
But as long as the people I surround myself with aren't like legit hurting other people, or saying things that are making other people uncomfortable,
Hmm.
being violent,
Yes.
then I have no reason to typically, counsel you. Now, I might not rock with you if, like, you're a band and you sing about stuff I don't really care about, then I'm not going to counsel you, but I'm not going to listen to you, you
Hmm.
know. But if you have a strong opinion about stuff that hurts people, then I will do my best not to purchase your products.
Yes.
Because I know there was a thing about Amazon. I gotta educate myself on the Amazon situation again, but there was something going on with Amazon. There was stuff going on with Dr. Seuss. He wrote very racist passages in a lot of his
Hmm.
books back in the day. Like, can't do you just not support those books, or do you just not support him as an author? Because you got to keep in mind, what's his name in Poet Fiction? He did a lot of, like, he showcased a lot of racism in his
Yep.
dang, who am I
Quentin
thinking of?
Tarantino.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino. But he gets a pass, like he's expressing
Hmm.
racist literature visually through his films.
Are we going to cancel Disney for being anti-Semitic in World War II?
I mean, yeah, it's again, I think it sometimes just comes down to convenience,
Hmm.
like some people will, look the other way if it's something they can bypass, like we
Yep.
all know Disney's gonna be that multi-million
Yep.
billion platform that's gonna rule the whole world of Disney, culture, TV, movie, cartoons, and whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're just here to stay. I mean, it's got to be something dramatic for us to find out, for us to be like, I can't rock with that. I mean, again, being anti-Semitic, during the World War II, that's huge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the fine line?
I
Like
mean,
it's crazy.
and let's talk about Yi, the last year, who lost all of his sponsorships for being anti-Semitic. And then to
Yeah,
me, that canceling has been justified because that has been years and years and years of doing really bad things. And then he came home, he had to pay the piper.
yeah.
He lost everything. Like this man was on James Corden. He couldn't do car car karaoke. He had to do airplane karaoke. They had to get his own jet in. They had to
Mm.
do this whole thing with his choir. He goes on, talks about his church, all this great stuff. But then he goes out running for presidency, basically saying all of these really bad things about his ex-wife, his children, and being anti-Semitic. And now he's canceled. And now people are like, oh, is Kanye, going to come back in like 2025, 2026? Here's the thing. I still love the album Graduation. Holy
Mm.
shit, that is such a great album. Do I separate his crazy beliefs to the genius that he is behind music? It'd be like if Taylor Swift was, I don't know, something evil.
Yeah,
Would
see, that's crazy.
would we continue to like Taylor Swift even though she may have, let's say she's a flat earther. And before you Swifties come for me, she's not a flat earther, but in this multiverse she is. She's
Hmm.
anti-science. Would we cancel her and disbelieve her music because it's not the same
See,
view that we believe to be true versus do we just like her music?
see, again, it's a fine line between a harmless, like, theory,
Yeah.
like I might not believe in a specific culture or
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. It's harmless. It's not hurting anybody with my viewpoints. But when I go off and say I don't believe in a specific thing that's giving away or taking away someone's rights,
Mm-hmm.
then that's when it's starting to really impact people in their beliefs. Like that's when it comes an issue where I'm making a culture or a sex or race feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now, me saying that the earth is flat, that's just, that's just not going to really impact too many people's religion, culture, whatever, maybe religion, I don't know, but that's harmless. Now, if Taylor came out again,
This is
this is
hypothetical,
just in
guys.
a,
This is
yeah,
hypothetical. This is not real.
yes. Now, um, if Taylor went out and pulled a stunt like J.K. Rowling did, then it might be a half and half situation. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? But now if she went out and we found out she did some crazy thing that R. Kelly did, then that'd be immediate. Like
Immediate,
you're done. You're
right?
done. Like there's like, and just how guess how so many souls will be crushed if anybody found out anything wrong with that happened to
Mm-hmm.
people that people look up to, because a lot of people that are in this super limelight positive light, you just don't see them doing anything that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
rub someone off the wrong way in regards to sex, race, and politics and stuff, because at the end of the day they kind of know how to say how they feel without really like hurting somebody. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I feel
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
and you
Well,
got to read the room. Like we're in this time now where we're still trying to do the civil rights thing. We're
mhm,
still in that. We're still in civil rights right now movement
absolutely.
for everybody,
Yep.
for people of color, for women to this day right now. So that's a sensitive topic, and if you have to really be careful and mindful how you voice your opinion. Like it's free speech in America,
Hmm.
but you got to read the room. You got to see where you're at. It's 2023. What's the issues we have today, and how can you voice your issues without hurting anyone to the point where you're gonna get canceled? Like
Hmm.
like I obviously can't go and say you can, like I said, like if I'm just a nobody, or I mean, I mean, not I say not I'm a nobody, but you just got, like I said, you just got to be mindful of what you put out there. Not everybody's gonna be like a lot
Yeah.
of people, where it's like I'm gonna be mindful and I'm not gonna say the wrong word. I'm not gonna call anybody out their name. That if it was in 1995 and I said this word, either I'm just offending somebody or it's just part of slang, like
Yeah.
the F word or something. I'm never gonna write out the F word in, like, on Twitter or any at all. I don't even say it. Like, I never was even comfortable saying it in the 90s. So
And I want to confirm the F word is not fuck.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
still,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah. It's like it's the other word. It's like saying dag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I don't know. That's my stance on it. It's a thing, and it will put you. We're all human, so just the
Yeah.
fact of anybody being potentially canceled will put you through some mental stress. Really, your mental health will be destroyed for a minute. And I every day I think about making sure when I post stuff, it's like we're all content creators. I mean, there's stuff that's gonna make people feel a certain way. I mean, I'm guilty of it. Like, I do a lot of unaliving. I do a lot of obscene stuff because I'm testing I'm a content creator. I'm a storyteller. My goal I'm definitely not like Quentin Tarantino, but I like to be able to make people feel a certain way. And like, I want you to be happy. I want you to be
Mm-hmm.
upset. I want you to laugh. I want you to cry. I want you to be like, what the hell am I watching? I want you to feel a certain way, but I want you to feel a certain way where you're not going home being like, did he just offend my culture?
Yeah.
Or did he just take a stab at the LGBTQ plus community, and stuff like that. So I have to be mindful, because there was times where I almost did that, just from like when I was listing out the kits. Someone's like, I noticed you put all the LGBT TQ plus kits and your lower ranking ones, like the men's the
Knitwear and
yeah,
yeah.
menswear one, and what was the other one? The Brazilian, not Brazilian one, but the party one. See, I don't even
Oh,
remember the kids,
yeah.
but
The
anyway,
caravel.
so
The caravel.
Caravel, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I put those kind of lower because with my gameplay, or however how I dress my Sims, none of those, I don't usually use those kits.
Yeah.
So I rank them a little lower because I don't use them. Well, here's exactly what I said. I said, coming in at number 10 is modern menswear. It's too modern for me. So all I said it's too modern for me. And then I did
Yeah.
the other one, and I can't remember what I said. But anyway, then there's just one comment out of the thousands of comments. But I took to heart to that one though. Said, I noticed that you put all those ones down at your bottom one. And I was like, hey, it's not because of that. It's just because I don't use I doesn't use it, doesn't fit my style. Like,
Yeah.
that's all. So I have to be mindful of stuff like that too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the thing is, like we've talked about, when you put yourself out there, you got to expect the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah,
There's
that's true.
no in between. And some of that, like that could have affected someone's comment being like, how dare you associate that? It's just, that's not my gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, me and Alex did the same thing. I'm pretty sure we rank those at the very bottom. Why did we rank them? It wasn't because it was LGBTQ plus. It
Right.
was because it didn't add value to our game.
Right.
Right? You're talking
It felt
to,
rushed too. Like, it just felt like they could have done so much more with those kits too, in my
yeah,
opinion. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't no stab at anybody. It was just, I don't use those kits.
yeah.
So
And then you're just, but then you have to sit there and defend yourself, because if you leave that comment uncommented, are
mhm,
you validating these person's thoughts?
exactly.
And then
Yeah.
it just comes messy, and then more people would jump on that, and then that's when they start
Mhm.
throwing
Yeah.
homophobic slurs around, slurs,
Yeah.
and there's no end. So
Right.
long story short, my feelings of cancel culture is, we need to cancel culture, but we need to do it differently, and we need to maybe find a different term for people that really need to be canceled. And even let's just like cancel people. Let's just say we don't like this person
Yeah.
because they did this. Let's just stop saying I cancel you because I don't like the fact that you wear fucking blue shirts and I'm
Yeah. That's crazy.
anti-glasses, right?
Yeah.
Like, it holds no weight or no
Yeah.
value to my
Now,
life.
depending on what gang you're in, you shouldn't be rocking blue anyway, or you shouldn't be rocking red. So, it could be a gang thing out here out here in these California streets, So,
Oh my
so
god.
yeah, so you could get counseled by you could literally, figuratively, and for real, get canceled out here in these streets if you walk up in here with the wrong color. But yeah, but anyway, that's
That
my
is,
joke. I'm joking. I'm
oh, I
joking.
know.
Kind of,
Oh, as soon as you
kind
said
of.
that, I was like,
Yeah,
yes.
because they
Um,
don't do that anymore.
no, no.
Well, they might. I don't know. You could potentially walk in the wrong neighborhood wearing the wrong color, but typically it doesn't happen as often, like like
Yeah,
it used to in the '90s. But anyway,
yes. Anyways, long story short, that is a different podcast for a
yeah, yeah, we
different
can talk
day.
about gangs too if you want. Just kidding.
I would have to bring in an expert for that because
Yeah.
my knowledge of gangs is pretty
Hmm.
slim. I mean,
Yeah.
look at me as a small white girl. I
Hmm.
don't know how many gangs I'm a
Hey,
part of. So,
hey, you could be counseled by saying that, because there's a lot of mafias and all kinds of different types of cultural gangs out there in these Canadian streets. You got that French mafia, probably
oh,
Canadian mafia.
for sure, the French
Yeah,
mafia.
yeah,
Definitely will leave my opinions on the French right there.
yeah, 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 yeah. Me
Yeah.
too. All right. Well,
Well,
we gotta do something about this cancel culture, folks.
yeah.
That's all we know.
Maybe instead of canceling somebody, listen to them to why they did that, and then
Yeah.
if you do not believe of what they're saying, just say I don't like you. Let's
Can
not
I ask you
boycott.
one last question before you end this?
Sure.
Um, how do you feel when people say people now is just too sensitive? Like you can't say nothing, you can't produce anything, you can't direct or film, write music. I can't say the N word in the car without someone going crazy because I'm not black. Like people are just sensitive. Like how do you feel when people say like 2023 everybody's just sensitive?
That's an interesting question, and I will dance around it as PC as possible. I just don't think it's that we're sensitive. I just think that we're hyper focused on every term to make sure that everybody feels included. And that's impossible because no matter if we include everybody, someone will always be excluded to whatever it is. Um, do I think we're sensitive? No. Do I think the times have changed? Yes. I think what was okay 5 years ago is no longer okay, but we're going in the right direction of inclusivity instead of excluding margins of people. And that means by accepting everybody,
Mhm.
good, the bad, and the ugly of what society brings to the table. So to fully answer your question, would I like to come out here and say certain things? Sure, I guess. I don't find us being sensitive. I just think it's just a different time
Mhm.
to
So do
especially
you,
what we're used to, especially growing
yeah.
up in the world of people just said whatever they wanted. So,
Yeah.
how do you feel?
I feel a little mixed too. Well, I feel a little bit more mixed. I do feel like we do need to always be adjusting to the time because, like you said, what was okay 5 years ago, which really honestly wasn't even that long ago, could potentially not be acceptable now because we're always changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about I think it's just about like how at one point you're right. Like one point people will start becoming everybody wants to be included, and I feel like even being in the Sims community, I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to be like the one that is hoping to be more included now because I feel like everybody we're focused on trying to make everybody happy, make everybody part of the
Mm-hmm.
of the community, making sure the game is as exclusive and inclusive as
Yep.
possible. I mean, inclusive as possible. And then it's like, well, what about like just like then I feel like, well, what about some of these elements and aspects of the game that might be lacking now because whatever. But just not just the game, but just in general, but I just think that calling people sensitive is the wrong term. It's just
Yes.
it is insulting.
Yes.
And I think we also, in my opinion, I think I'm still trying to learn how to make sure that moving forward, how can art be to the point where it's still acceptable, but can still push the envelopes a little bit without offending people because you're still trying to add in elements that isn't that's just storytelling versus like real
Hmm.
life scenarios. You know what I mean? Like I
Absolutely.
still want to be able to watch a movie and maybe because of the scenario, maybe there's a little bit of something that might be a little bit out of the ordinary that if that happened in real life, that person could be canceled.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of storytelling. I want to make sure like art still has a little bit of freedom to still be able to
Hmm.
do what the bigger people are doing, like Quentin Tarantino,
Yeah.
without being afraid of being, you know,
Yeah.
without being a whatever. But I'm with you. I think I don't know if I answered your question very intelligently, but I try to squeeze as much as I can in there without being too PC. Or without being trying to be PC about it. But you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying though. Like I want to make sure art is, because a lot of times art can be canceled as well, and I want
Hmm.
to make sure like there's still that little bit of wiggle room that art could be art,
Yep.
like but so because I mean there's still moments where we can tell the story in hopes that no one can be too offended about it.
Absolutely. Well, the only
Like
way.
white chicks, like that would not happen today. Like because that's like
Oh my
because just
God.
think about it, like when people, let's say people try to do blackface, like now people
Yes.
now that's not acceptable, but white chicks is. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to be, if you're gonna be strict about it, then I think this is my opinion. We can shut this down as fast as you want, but I think it's not okay for the black culture to mimic white culture if white culture can't do black culture. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I feel like there shouldn't be a pass. Like, of course, Black Chicks was cool, but let's just say wasn't that movie with Will Ferrell, he have like a black face kinda, or he was like a brother or something. They were out in the war, they were doing the war thing. I think the guy kind of had like a darker complexion. I can't remember. I think there was a movie similar to White Chicks, but he had
I
a darker complexion. I can't remember,
I
but
cannot tell you. Well, on that fun note, we're gonna wrap up
okay,
here
yeah, 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 yeah.
before we both get
Yeah.
canceled. Um, Nard, I want to thank you
Sheesh.
so much for coming here today. Welcome.
My
Thank you
last.
for coming back for like I think this third.
I don't know, but it'll be after your wedding, and by then, this will probably be my last one. Probably after everybody hear this thing on podcast.
Oh my God.
Just kidding.
Well, Nard, thank you so much for coming back here today. Where can we find your work?
Well, before it's deleted, you could probably hit me up on TikTok Nardvillain, Instagram Nard Sims, YouTube Nardvillain, everything, all things, everything Nardvillain. That's where you can find me, and yeah.
Well, I super appreciate you coming here today and speaking the honest truths of what it's like to be a content creator in 2023 and the cancel culture that kind of goes around it and sharing your honest thoughts about cancel culture. Please go check out Nardvillain. The links are going to be below. Thank you again, my friend, for coming back here today, and we will chat very, very soon. Bye.
Yips. Dag dag.